So I went to Panama City Beach, Florida a few years ago for spring break with some of my friends. And while we were there, a few of my friends and I went up to the bar and we started drinking and these really cute guys came up to us and we started drinking with them and chatting with them and before I knew it, I was kind of off in a little booth alone with this guy and we just talked for hours. We just talked about life. I really got to know him. It was awesome. We really hit it off and before I knew it, he gave me those eyes of like, I'm moving in. I'm gonna kiss you. And I knew it was coming and I didn't want it to happen because I made a resolution that the next guy that I was going to kiss was going to be my boyfriend. Um, and I stopped him and he looked at me super confused because he knew how attractive he was too. And he was like, well, what do you want then? What do you want from me? Why are you talking to me? And it hit me that this conversation was only a means to an end for him. And that's kind of how he was trained in talking to women, is that that's where all conversations were going to head. And that made me so sad. I looked at him and I said, I don't want anything from you. I don't want to take anything from you. I'm not using this to get from point A to point B. I just love talking to you. I've loved getting to know you. I feel honored that you've even given me the time of day. And he looked at me so confused and just kind of in awe and was like, Bree, you're the first girl that's ever been honest with me. You're the first girl that didn't just want something from me. And that started up a whole other conversation that was awesome. And I ended up seeing him for the next few days and we hung out and I loved seeing him. And me and his brother ended up taking some shots and drinking and dancing and talking. And he looked at me, he's like, so why didn't you go home with my brother last night? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, why didn't you sleep with my brother last night? I thought you guys were getting along. And I kind of nonchalantly said, I didn't want to chastise. I just said, I don't do that stuff. I don't sleep around. I'm not interested in that. I said, but your brother is awesome. Like, I love talking to him. He's like, well, what do you mean you don't sleep around? So you're a virgin? I said, no, I'm not a virgin, but I just don't want to sleep around anymore. And he looked at me and he kind of goes, well, why wouldn't you sleep around if you're not a virgin? What left do you have to give? What else do you have to give? And I kind of looked back at myself and I was like, what do I have to give? I don't really know how to answer that question. And the Holy Spirit came in clutch and I responded by saying, I believe that my body and my soul are one. So when you encounter my body, you encounter me. And the next person that I want to encounter me, wholly, fully, free, I want to be the last person that encounters me for the rest of my life. I want them to be the one, and vice versa. And he looked at me in awe and he goes, I was ready to argue with you actually, but I've never thought about that before. That makes sense. And in my head, I was like, I've never thought about that either. I don't know where that came from. But that started a revolution in my life for chastity, on what I'm really striving for and what I'm waiting for, is to be encountered. And I think there is an inherent desire for all of us to be encountered fully, not just our bodies, but fully, wholly us. We want to be encountered. And the more that I thought about that desire, it opened my eyes to the beauty of the Eucharist. We are encountered every single time that we receive the Eucharist. We are encountered that way that we desire. And we get to encounter Jesus in that same way. So that desire to be encountered can be met every day if we just allow him. And then hopefully eventually one day I'll meet the one, I'll meet my future husband, but that doesn't mean that I am not being encountered every day in Mass, in adoration, by him. So yeah, that's just what sparked and triggered my resolution for chastity and waiting for the one and being fully encountered.